Hi guys and welcome to my channel. It's Hila here, Saturday Night Stitch, and today we're going to do a browse through of the November 2020 issue of Burda Style. So I'm going to start off by saying that I really didn't expect the November issue to be as good as it turned out to be, and that's simply because Murphy's Law states that when you reach the pinnacle, when you do the best of something within an extended period of time, the next thing that you do shouldn't be anywhere near as good. So I personally think that the October 2020 issue of Burda Style was just amazing, that it was a triumphant peak for Burda. So I didn't have very high expectations for the November issue, but I gotta say they surprised me. So let's have a look at what we have. So first of all, the cover, very cool, calm colors with a popping pink. I think it's got excellent curb appeal. It would catch my eye if I wasn't interested in sewing. I would be interested in finding out what this is about. Okay, so we've got some crafty bits and bobs here, and continuing on with the 70-year celebration, they do have some people sharing their vintage makes, all lovely, all inspirational, and also to cater for Halloween. There are some tutorials on how to make some Halloween things. Right off the bat, the first pattern that we have is the tall size pattern. Right, we have the tall sized pattern here, and it's these trousers that have a contoured waist, and they've got a deep pleat on the front, which gives it quite a voluminous look. They have used a lovely denim with some mustard top stitching. The zipper is a side seam zipper, and it's got a foul fly front, which personally I appreciate, because fly front zippers are not the most fun things to do in sewing. I don't ever wake up thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to sew a fly front zipper. So I do appreciate that they've got a faux fly front here and the zipper on the side. So I was kind of like, okay, that is quite interesting. And denim and mustard top stitching, you had me at hello with that. So I thought that that was a good strong start to the issue. And then we have this really cute girl's pinafore dress, again with the same mustard and top stitching detail. My girls saw this and they were like, oh, mommy, we'd like that. And I said, no. I've tried making stuff like this before. It is so labor intensive, especially with these little catches and those type of buttons. I don't necessarily mind sewing for my kids, but I do prefer things that they can actually stay in for a long time. Okay, and then we've got a pullover jumper, a very simple V-neck. Doesn't have any closures per se, drop shoulders, and very, very wide sleeve. What's different about this is that it's been given these side panels with a button to give it just a little bit of shaping. It could be a good look depending on the fabric that you use, but it is a super easy pattern. If I were to make this, I would be wearing it layered with a roll neck underneath. And then we have a skirt here, long, slim pencil skirt. Standard issue there, but what makes this one quite different is the wrap around detail at the front, which I have to say, a little bit disappointed that Burda didn't use contrasting fabric so that you can really see how those the wraparound belt works. But from what I can tell, it looks like there's a slit, there's a little opening where you thread through the under bit over there, and that sort of creates this. And I think that this would look really lovely if you used some contrasting fabrics just to make that pop a little bit. And you don't necessarily have to use the hardware that they've used of the belt buckle. But I do think that this has a lot of potential, just not a big fan of the fabric that was chosen for it. I love the overall styling. I think that this is how you could style it for kind of like casual day wear using a pencil skirt. Okay, we have another super easy pattern, which is a simple top with a boat neckline, finished with a facing, but we've added 1, 2, 3 little pleats just to give it some interesting detail. And the pleats are also on the sleeve over here. Yeah, it's quite all right. I like how they've styled it over here with the roll neck top, because that's so totally me. And I think that this is the sort of pattern that you let the fabric shine. If you've just got like a really beautiful, lovely viscose print fabric, then this is the pattern to use for it. There's nothing too special about it, but it will allow your fabric to sing. And then using the same fabric there, they've done this simple top for girls with kind of like a, I call this a tablecloth collar. because it's kind of like how you drape a tablecloth. My girls, weirdly enough, liked this, so I'm committed to making it, and you can tell how enthusiastic I am. Yeah, I am going to change the cuffs, though. I don't like the cuffs on this. They're not very practical for young kids, and I am just going to put in cuffing, like knitted cuffing material, and we'll see how the girls get on with it. But yeah, that's on my to sew list. So spoiler alert, that's sewing plan number 1. Okay, and then we have a dress, number 111. Yeah, this gave me pause for thinking, because when I look at the line drawing, I'm not at all interested in this dress. It looks a little bit on the frumpy side, very frankly speaking, and that's because the gathered panel is right at the bottom. It reminds me of those old-fashioned nightgowns. But then when I look at the outfit that the model is wearing here, it's not too bad, actually. And I think it's because of the fabric that they have used. So I think that this is one of those dresses that will look great if you use the right fabric. So with this fabric, you're not really seeing the old-fashioned design lines with it. It just kind of all blends in. But I don't think it would look as nice if you just used a plain blue or a plain white. It would just look too staid and boring, in my opinion. But yeah, so I was a little bit in two minds about that, and I realized that this will only work if you have fabric that you absolutely love, and you can't really see that it looks a little bit like an old-fashioned nightgown. On the other hand, if you put a belt on it and added just a little bit of shaping, it could work as a boho maxi type look. Anyway, moving on, we've got a tartan skirt here with some little detail. There's like the little leather trim that has been added there. What I like about this skirt is the fact that the waistband that they have on there is a very narrow waistband, and that caters quite well to people like me, who have a contoured waist, and like I can't take a waistband that is wider than like an inch, because then it just rolls down. So I do quite like that about this particular skirt, and I have a feeling that this one's going to be a popular one. It just has that look and feel of a skirt that is it's simple to make, but has just enough detail to give you a little bit of a challenge. So I think that that's going to be quite good. And again, I like the styling that they've done with this. The boots, the skirt, and the roll neck is kind of like, I can see myself wearing this in winter, which is pretty awesome. Okay, and then over here we've got a shirt dress that instantly caught my eye in the previews, mostly because I quite liked the fabric. It's flowers, purple. I'm just going to like that. But then when I saw the line drawings, I was very keen on it. So it's a simple shirt dress. It's got a long line silhouette, but it doesn't have a collar. It's just finished with a bias binding. So I like that minimalist ness that it has, and you'll see in a later picture why they probably went for that, because they do use a minimalist looking fabric for it. And then it's got the frills, the flounce over there that are at the elbow length, so they don't actually get in the way. So it does tick all of the boxes for me, and it has some shaping at the waist, not too much, but some shaping at the waist. So this is one of the things that I absolutely want to make. And then we've got that dress again for the girls, except it was a top before when we sew it, but it's just been lengthened into a dress. And you'll see on here, one of the reasons why I'm not too keen on the cuffs there is that I just don't think that they're very practical for really active little hands like my girls, and that's why I'm just going to be replacing it with a knitted cuff detail. Okay, and then this is actually the featured sewing lesson. It is a jacket number 104, and it is full of interesting detail, if that's the sort of thing that you like. And I think that it is a fabulous take on a bomber wool jacket, because it does have the feel of a bomber jacket because of the length and its proportions and how wide it is, but they've used an exposed zipper. The fabric that they have used is absolutely gorgeous and stunning, and it's got these really beautiful gun flaps over there and this really thick cuff. And I think that the execution is beautiful. The tailoring is on point and very inspiring. I look at this and I'm inspired to try and take my sewing level up a notch. I have to say, though, I prefer the other version of this jacket simply because I feel like these pockets are not very practical. They are too high as far as I'm concerned for any actual practical use, and the other one doesn't have that problem, and I'll show you when I come to it. And then we've got cardigan number 102, which is the petite size from 17 to 21, and this is exactly what I had been asking for. It almost feels as if Burda was listening to to my wish list when I was saying I need to have a long cardigan, and they have done it. And this is one of the patterns that I have in fact traced out that I will be making. But if you hang tight until the end, I'll show you the fabric that I'm going to be using for that. But I love everything about this. It's long line, it's got the thick sleeves, the drop shoulder, so you can layer this over an entire outfit without it looking crowded. So love it. And it's got deep pockets as well. And then we also have this really lovely looking vest, which has a hoodie. And I really like the look of this. My only beef with it is it doesn't have sleeves. So if I were to make this, I would just be adding sleeves to it just for that warmth factor. I'm generally not a gilet vest kind of thing, you know, like in winter I go all in. You know, I'm not going to be just covering this part of my body, but I like the style lines of this. I would just have to put in a sleeve for my own personal use. And then we've got a cape for the little ones. Beautiful fabric, looks absolutely gorgeous. And it does look like the sort of thing that your child will be able to wear for quite a while before they outgrow it. And for any canine parents out there, we actually have a little doggy coat here, which is lovely. And I think that the model did a really good job of showing off the coat. And there are the instructions for making that wonderful jacket again, which is pretty awesome. I've noted that Burda recently, they have been including sewing instructions for the more complex patterns, catering to some of the seamstresses who want to be a little bit more adventurous and not necessarily stick to the standard fare of very simple patterns. So I like that. And then we've got a designer pattern from Amante Maitresse here. It's a really cute and sassy and very sexy silhouette, incredibly fitted, very fitted, so much so that I feel like if I were to try and make this, I would make a toile of it first just to make sure that you've got the correct fit. But we've got a high empire line here and some gathering around the waist. And then around the neckline, you've got the visible darting that gives the shaping over there. You've got the puffy sleeve detail just to give this dramatic shoulder and dramatic sleeve. And you've got the fluting at the hem with the princess sleeves and princess seam lines. Princess seam lines are always so incredibly flattering. So I feel like this is definitely a stunning dress. For me personally, I don't like the fluting at the knee. I would probably keep it straight or make it go A-line flare like that. But it's a really beautiful style and I see some potential with it. And I have it pinned on my, have to think about how I can get it to fit into my sewing life. And I think that if I were to make it, I would probably use a ponte simply because a ponte is stable enough to use on woven patterns, but it's got enough stretch for you to make it as fitted as you want it to be, and it will remain comfortable. So I'd probably make this in a ponte, and there's certainly a lot of lovely pontes out there. Okay, we've got that shirt dress again, but this time it's in a minimalist futuristic fabric, so it's a very soft pastel mint sheer fabric, and it looks absolutely stunning. And the model is wearing it with the white turtleneck, which I would never ever do, but it looks lovely. And this fabric is not a viscose print, so you can see how it's holding the structure of the flounce and of the skirt itself. I would add pockets to this because pockets are everything. And then we've got that cardigan again in a knit fabric that looks like it's actually been knitted, but it's a jersey fabric. Awesome. And we've got some trousers here, and this is another featured sewing pattern in the magazine, which means that there's a full sewing lesson with illustrations. And this is a very interesting pair of trousers. It looks very comfortable, and it's got pockets appropriately placed in order for them to actually be useful. And it's made out of silk as well. They look really nice. Not going to make them though, personally. Not sure that this is a winter look for me. I would make them in summer probably. And then we have that vest, that jacket again, but this time it's been made in a wool. I think it's kind of like a boiled wool, and what a dramatic look for it, and showing you how you can actually create a dramatic garment for your wardrobe. I just love how it looks here. And this kind of made me realize that if I were to make this particular vest, I would be making it in a boiled wool, like a really popping, maybe a mustard. But yeah, I just loved that. And then we've got another super easy pattern, which is a simple sweater shirt with a grown on neckline. We have a little bit of a detail, which is a slit at the sleeve here. To be honest with you, you know me, I'm a simple, low maintenance kind of person. I don't think I would bother with those slits at the sleeve. I just put some cuffing. Beautiful fabric that they've used though. Not a yellow that I could pull off myself, but it looks good. I was so tempted to make this, but I have a similar Burda pattern. I think it's from January 2018, which has a grown-on sleeve, and it's a sweater dress. So I was a little bit like, do I need this? I don't. Okay, number 121 is a Burda Stock and Trade, a very simple top with an opening at the back, and it's a wide neckline. Nothing to write home about. But top number 114, love it. Batwing top, cowl neck top. And we've got the extra wide hemband just to add some more shaping. So it's very 80s in style and feel. And it's got that extra deep cuff. And I love it. I love everything about this. And this is one of those things that I definitely would love to make with the right fabric for it. I quite like the color of this fabric, but I feel like this drape is a little bit too stiff for that. So it's got this sticking out, and to me that reminds me of those food catchers for when you're weaning a child and you start feeding them solids, and you know you've got the plastic thing that sticks out. And I think that if you're going to have a cowl neck, you need to go for a really drapey fabric to create those puddles. It shouldn't be having sharp looks like that. And I think if it just wasn't for that, this would be absolutely stunning. I would have never had to think twice about it. But yeah, I like that. And then we've got those trousers again, the tall size trousers, but this time instead of a denim, they're in a beautiful, it's like a cotton sateen fabric, cotton stretch, and it's got paint strokes on it. Tailoring is impeccable. And you do get the a really good feel of the peg-like silhouette that they have going. Do you know, I have a feeling that these ones could also be quite popular. They could be popular, especially given that they've got a faux fly front and you can just whip them up just like that. And then we've got a coat, lovely coat, giant collar and tie detail. It's beautiful. Coats are always timeless, and it's always quite handy to have coat patterns at hand. And then you have a blazer, super long blazer, double-breasted. So if you're into your tailoring, you've been covered here today. And there is the tutorial for the cargo pant. And we've got some styling ideas here and some more makeup. Okay, and then we've got that blazer, but instead of it being lengthened into a coat, it's just been made into a blazer. Pinstripe, classic, traditional, and here it is paired with some wide leg trousers. It's a good standard look. Those are the wide leg trousers again. Yeah, I think yeah, I see a lot of the wide leg trousers. I'm not too wowed by them, personally speaking. But we'll move on to the jacket here, number 105. And this is very similar to the first one that we saw, except for it doesn't have the pockets on the front, and it's a little bit longer, and we've got that pleat at the back. And I really like this jacket. That quite surprised me. I didn't think that I would like it, but I do like it when I actually saw it like this. It looks like it's a very feminine jacket, and it would fit a lot of styles. Like in this, it's been worn with a maxi dress, and I quite liked it, which very much surprised me. And so we've got some shoulder darts to give a little bit of shaping at the top here, and then we've got the stand collar. I liked this one, so I even I like to mark out the ones that I like initially and then carry them forward. Okay, so there's that skirt again, which we saw in the tartan before with some little hardware details over here, but this time those have been taken away and you've just got the deep pleats. Yeah. Styling wise, no, I'm not a big fan of this look. That's okay if you're around the house, and I certainly do wear socks around the house, but I just don't think that this sells anything. Sorry. That's not very stylish for me. Okay, moving on. We've got this top. We've seen the top before, but now it's been lengthened into a dress. And I have a feeling that this will be a popular style. And I think that most likely a lot of people will probably just add a belt to give it the option of some shaping at the waist. But you've got the boat neckline, which is always a winner. And it's very simple to sew up because it doesn't actually have a zip. It just has that simple slit at the back. And I have to point out that when you have a pattern that's a dress like this and it's got a slit at the back for it, you have to watch out for the drape of your fabric. So several times I've made these similar silhouettes. In particular, the January 2020 issue had a cocoon style shift dress like this, with a slit at the back, and I used a beautiful viscose fabric for it, but without the correct sort of interfacing. If you just go straight and do this little slit here without actually facing that whole area on a drapey fabric, it does tend to get gapey and lie open, which is very unpleasant. So if you want to make something like this, do make sure that your fabric is stable enough to hold that slit without it gaping open, and if it isn't, you're gonna have to do a full-on complete interfacing around that just so that it doesn't gape. But beautiful proportions, and I like the styling on this one a lot better than over here. And then we've got that sweater top, but it's been lengthened into a dress now, and I love it. But I have something very similar from the January 2018 issue, although that particular style has some princess seams at the front, and it also has pockets, and this one doesn't have pockets. So you know which one I'm going to choose, because pockets are everything. And then we have that skirt again with the wraparound detail, and at least this time Burda have tried to show off that wraparound detail by using a fabric that has got a delicate stripe. And so they've got the horizontal stripe down the main skirt, and then they've got this the vertical stripe down the main skirt, and then they've got it horizontal along the flaps. Yeah, the more I see of this, the more I am quite drawn to it. And we've got that top again, and it looks a lot better in this particular jersey fabric because it's got a bit more drape, and it is doing those beautiful puddles that you would expect with a cowl neck like this. And so yeah, I thought that was a good interpretation of that. And then we've got that top again, and a great choice of fabric to show off the little pleats over here. And as I said, this sort of top, the super easy top, it's the one that you use for fabric that you just love, and you just want to sew up the fabric, and you don't want to do anything fancy because you don't want to cut into the print or anything like that. This would be a good option for that, and I think it looks nice in this pinstripe. Fantastic stuff. Okay, and then we move on to the extended plus size section, and we start off with a 60s style funnel neck top here with a tie at the back. And I thought that was a really nice look, very strong to start off with, and it's a super easy pattern. And then over here we've got a pair of trousers with a very interesting detail at the side. So it's got a curved hem that goes up, and then you've got some buttons here, and they've gone with pearl buttons. I thought that's a great idea, something to definitely try out. And then we have dress number 129, and it's a fitted sheath dress with some princess sleeves and a portrait neckline here. I think it's beautiful and it is classy, and I like the jacquard damask fabric that they have used. Personally, I would have liked to see this just a little bit shorter. I think that would have just been banging. But otherwise, a beautiful interpretation of the pattern. And then we've got a simple top number 124, which has got raglan sleeves, and it's got an uneven hem. A little tie neck top here, tie neck belt detail using bias binding. And this, I think, is great for your lovely drapey fabrics that you just want to allow to sing. And I think even though it is in a November issue, this is definitely something that you could make throughout the year. And I like the uneven hem and just the way that it drapes and flows. I thought that was a pretty good job. And then we've got the same top here, but it's in kind of like a chiffon-y black, just to show how you can turn it into a cocktail hour top, you know, for when the Rona disappears and we can go back to living life as normal. It would make a great cocktail top. And then we've got that dress again. So what sticks out for me with this dress is, as I mentioned before, I would have liked to see it shorter, and I definitely prefer it in the shorter length, but the fabric that they used here just did not work out well. Either that or the lighting from when they did the photo shoot. There's too much going on with it, and it's showing up all of the seam lines and not in a very flattering way. So I think that it would have been better to use a Ponte fabric, even though the color is quite popping. When you look at the detail, it's not the best fabric to showcase this particular style. But as you can see, proportionally, I think it works a lot better when it just hits the knee. And I love that neckline. Absolutely love that neckline. That's a beautiful neckline. And then this jacket, I think that this jacket is the bomb, showing my age there. It's got an integrated scarf in it, and the fabric that they have used, oh my days, emerald green jewel tone, and it drapes. Okay, so this is a very similar type of fabric in terms of the shine and consistency to this, and it doesn't work here because this is a structured, highly structured dress. You don't want that in a highly structured dress, but in a loose floating coat jacket like this, see how beautifully it works, and it's not supposed to be tight and fitted. So I think that this was a perfect interpretation of how you put the fabric together to highlight the beautiful design lines of the actual blouse slash jacket itself. Loved that. And then we've got a oops, sorry guys. And then we've got a simple, super easy top, which is kind of like a reverse cardigan, and it's got these rounded pearl buttons at the back, which look great. They look fabulous. But I think in reality, they are very uncomfortable, because when you're going to sit on a sofa or a chair or wherever, and you relax and you sit back, those things are going to be jabbing into you, you know. So just turn it around and it's fine. That's my advice. I gotta say, for something that I wasn't expecting much from, it actually delivered a fairly decent amount of patterns that I would like to sew. Right, so I have already been busy at it. My pattern sheets have been taken out and I've been tracing. I've already traced number 102, B, and number 108. These two I definitely want to make, and I have to make number 132 because my daughters want me to make that, but I don't yet have a fabric for this one. So I'm just going to show you the fabrics that I'm going to use for number 102, the long cardigan, because that fits in with my winter capsule look that I'm trying to create. So this is the fabric that I'm going to use, which I bought from Fabrics for All. And this fabric, I've bought it before and I used it to make an A-line skirt, and it is so comfortable and so lush. And I will wash it and it comes out of the dryer just like that. I put it on a low dry setting, and it's gorgeous. So that's the one that I'm going to use to make that. So for dress number 108, I've got two potential fabrics which I can't actually choose between. I've got this viscose paisley print fabric that has been sitting in my collection now for almost 5 years. I bought it from Jack's Markets in Leeds. And then I also have this beautiful poly viscose mix, which I just bought from Fabrics for All. And so I have to decide whether I'm going to use this one or this one. They both have the drape that I think would be suitable because I'm going for the drapier version of the dress rather than the more structured, more stable one. And those are the two things that I have traced out immediately for now that I will be making. Okay, so yeah, so I would say that personally, Burda 10 2020 was the Avengers Infinity War of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whilst this one was the end game. That's the analogy that I want to use for it. But yeah, now it's your turn. You let me know, are you going to be making anything from this issue? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear. And also, give me your opinion on this. 1 or 2 for the dress, let me know in the comments. And until I see you next time, guys, happy sewing. Bye.